Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Aaron's Harp. My name is Darby and I'll be your bartender today. And today, our special is a margarita. Alright, so a margarita. I wasn't planning on doing this on the channel just yet. I wanted to get through a few others because everybody knows what a margarita is or what it should be, right? Or that's what I thought. And I want to tell a quick story about this before I actually jump into making this margarita. Because, okay, I'm not naming any names and I'm not shaming anyone. If this is your idea of a margarita, which as you can see, this is more than half empty because this is my wife's favorite version of a margarita, that's fine. But that is not a margarita. This is easy, this is fast, you pour this right over some ice and call it good, you're done and out of there. I get it. But if you are working behind a bar, and in this story, this individual that I spoke to does work behind a bar. It's not a super high-end bar, but it's also not a dive bar. And the thing is, it's not like an extremely high volume bar, right? They're not rushing. That's the thing about this, right? If you're at like a Mexican restaurant and you get a house margarita and it's got this and a couple other things in it, maybe an extra splash of tequila in this basically wine cooler, you know, I would expect that. But if you're in an actual bar, or you're in a cocktail lounge, or you're behind the bar serving margaritas, and again, I'm not saying this to shame anybody, okay? But you tell me straight to my face that you don't really make margaritas, you just use a mixer and add tequila and maybe a little agave or simple syrup. Friend, that is not at all making margaritas. And it's disturbing and it makes me sad, okay? But again, I understand why you think that is the better way to do it. And it does create a level of consistency that a less discerning populace would probably enjoy, okay? But today, we're not doing that. Today, we're making two margaritas. We're gonna do my two favorite variations of a margarita. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any Mezcal on hand because Mezcal is expensive and this doesn't pay me. So we're gonna do it with regular tequila, which is also very good for one of our versions. And it's probably actually a better version of it or a more approachable version. So let's jump right in and let's start these two margaritas, okay? We're gonna do the classic margarita and we're going to do a spicy margarita. So let's start with the classic because that's the one that everybody knows and everybody loves. A couple of important notes before you get started. I normally use glasses that look like this, right? They're kind of cut crystal glasses and I really, really like them. We're not using these today. We're gonna use these. These are smooth-sided double rocks glasses, which I really, really love. And if you have margarita glasses, that's awesome. You use them. I do not recommend the plastic, like outdoor, like, I don't know, Margaritaville glasses, cups that you get at like, I can't even think that Home Goods. Home Goods sells those plastic margarita glasses. Please don't use them. Don't serve alcohol in plastic glasses or glassware, especially higher proof, because it can actually, there's been some recent developments where they're saying that alcohol, which I mean, it's just common sense to me anyway, alcohol will cause degradation in your glasses. So anyway, smooth-sided glasses, and that's for a reason, okay? We're gonna take a lime. We're gonna cut this lime in half, okay? Hang out with me. Do this before you start making your margarita. Now, take your lime and kind of wipe it on the outside of your glass, right? I'm not gonna go all the way around because I don't always want salt in my sip. Sometimes I'm gonna want just pure margarita, right? Now, we're gonna take that. I've got some big, don't know if you'll be able to see it very well, but it's this big flaky margarita salt, okay? I got it at the liquor store. It's reasonably affordable and it's easy to get. Please put it on the outside of your glass. Don't put it on the inside. That's just, I don't know, that's weird to me. All right, half with nothing on it, half with salt. Do that before you make your margaritas, okay? Now, margarita is super simple. And this is why I told the story to begin with, because they're saying that a margarita isn't quick and easy by making one versus pouring it out of a, gallon jug or whatever. I'm here to refute that because a margarita is 3 ingredients in my opinion, okay? Now, let me talk about ingredients as we go through them. I'm going to be using for both this beautiful, actually I take that back. You know what? We're gonna use this Blanco tequila. All right, I love this Blanco tequila. It's really, really affordable. The El Epsilon Blanco, readily available. I've seen it pretty much everywhere I've ever been. And it works really well. The thing about tequila, like we know, is it gets really expensive really quickly. And if you start getting into tequilas that are, in the $60, $70, $80 range, and you're gonna mix a margarita with it, it might be the best margarita you've ever had, but it's also gonna be an incredibly expensive margarita. Whereas this, I think, is like $35 for this bottle of tequila, which is delicious. So we're gonna jump right in. We're gonna do our classic with the classic Blanco. Normally I would use Reposado because I love Reposado tequila. I think it has a much more unique flavor profile, and I like it has a texture to it, okay? But anyway, enough with all that chit chat. 2 ounces of our tequila of your choice. You could even do this with Mezcal. You could do this with an añejo tequila. You could do this with anything you want, really. It's a pretty basic list of ingredients. We're gonna need 1 ounce of our super high quality lime juice, all right? Yes, fresh lime juice would be, of course, preferable, but who has time to squeeze that volume of limes? I don't. Well, I do, but I'm not going to. All right, now, talk about, so our third ingredient in our tequila, in our classic margarita, right? Tequila, lime juice, and some sort of orange liqueur. Now, triple sec is cheap and readily available and works fine. My opinion, it's just slightly too bitter and it's just, I don't know, it's missing something, right? So I personally prefer either using an orange curacao, right? Or specifically this Cointreau. I love this. It's beautiful. It has a wonderful flavor profile and it's just bright and fun. And luckily, so some of your orange curaçaos can add color. Cointreau, luckily, is clear, okay? So it won't disrupt your color profile if you're going for an aesthetic, if you're going for more of an aesthetic margarita. Now, let's add a little ice to this. And you don't need to be violent with this shake, okay? Because you're gonna serve it on the rocks. You're gonna serve it over ice. You could even free pour this right into your glass. I'm not going to, I'm gonna strain it off. I'm just gonna, single strain right into my glass over some ice and call it good. Now, I wanna caveat this 3 ingredient margarita with a possible 4th. If you are somebody who prefers your cocktails to be slightly sweeter and a little less aggressive, you could absolutely put some agave syrup in this. Now, I am using this Master of Mixes agave syrup. I got this, I think, at Walmart or Publix. Pretty readily available. Any agave syrup will work. That one's super dirt cheap, and I only really use it for things like this. So that's what it's here for. We're not going to use it for this one. We will be using it for our other ones. So let's go ahead and give that a shake. I'm going to get some ice into our other glass, and we'll go ahead and try this one out. All right. It literally does not hardly need a shake at all. It's mostly just to kind of combine all of our ingredients. If you want to double strain this, you could, but I don't care. The little shards of ice are not going to bother me in this at all. I mean, that looks like a classic margarita, right? I mean, that's, when you think about a classic margarita, that's kind of the vision you have in your mind, is that, you know, kind of color of lime juice. Now, we'll go ahead and set this bad boy right on the corner right there. All right, so let's give this a try, okay? You could totally put a straw in this if you really wanted to, if you wanted to just sip on it. But for me, I'm gonna just go ahead on the non-salt side. You can't, I mean, that is, don't use this if you're behind a bar, unless you're in a high volume Mexican restaurant where you're serving a bunch of tourists, maybe. Don't use this, because this, oh man, I mean, there is literally no comparison. Oh, it's got, I mean, the lime juice is right there. That, whatever orange liqueur you decide to use, whether it be triple sec or this Cointreau or dry curacao or even a regular curacao, they all just work so beautifully in this, and they're just so fun. And that adds another layer of citrus behind that lime juice, which is obviously very predominant, but then it's all kind of tapered back by that tequila. And your tequila choice will vary. I mean, maybe you don't want to use this at Epsilon, maybe you want to go with something even cheaper. You definitely could. The thing about the margarita is it's so user-friendly. You know, our last video we did was on the martini, right? We did a video recently on the martini, which is very much open to interpretation. The same can kind of be said with a margarita. That's a classic margarita. That's beautiful. That's amazing. But I have another one, and it's the way I like my margarita. So we're gonna go with half our lime again. We're gonna rub it on the outside of our glass. Now, for this one, for our spicy margarita, we're gonna be, instead of salt, putting Tajin, okay? If you don't know what this is, it's a Hispanic seasoning that is probably one of my favorite things in the world. It goes great on just about every kind of fruit you can imagine. Watermelons, strawberries. Oh man, it's so good on strawberries. You just have to believe me, okay? Again, we've got a nice little plate right here with some already on it. We're just gonna roll our other glass. Well, not really roll, we're gonna kind of just pat it in there. This doesn't stick quite as well as our salt, so, you know, be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, don't be smashing your glasses or anything, but you're gonna have to kind of press it in there, okay? Now, here's where things get a little tricky. And dear friends and viewers, if you mess with these, right, a jalapeno, please wash your hands before you scratch your face, okay? I shouldn't have to say that, but so many times, me being me, have finished making salsa or whatever else I'm doing, and immediately gone and grabbed other food or rubbed my nose or something stupid like that, and I didn't wash my hands after hacking into some jalapenos. So don't do that, all right? I'm gonna do 2. You can increase your number or decrease your number of slices. I'm doing about a yay thick, about 1/4 inch or so thick slices. I'm leaving the seeds and everything right in there. You don't have to. You can absolutely gut all the seeds out of it however you want. I'm doing 3/4 inch thick slices. If you take it back a little bit, it'll be a little less spicy, but I want the heat, okay? I want the heat. So we'll go ahead and muddle this down a little bit. You will have to be, this is not like fruit, right? Where fruit kind of just falls apart. You do have to be a little bit more aggressive with our jalapenos. Wash your muddlers really, really good, or that flavor will, or heat rather, will find its way into everything you muddle forever, okay? Now, for this one, I am going to use my Reposado. This is amazing with like a Mezcal. It's nice and smoky. Don't get something super aggressive, but a nice smoky Mezcal is truly amazing. 2 ounces of our Reposado. 1 ounce of our Orange Liqueur of choice. Basically the same thing, right? 1 ounce lime juice. Now, here's the kicker, all right? Because there's so much heat in there, I want to kind of taper it back a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and do about 1/4 ounce of our agave syrup. That's it. Basically the same thing, right? Ooh, all my ice came out. Slap that together. Let me get some ice and we'll shake this one up and serve and see how it is. Now, this one I do recommend shaking a little bit extra, simply because you do have that jalapeno down in the bottom of it, right? And you do want to incorporate that throughout the cocktail. Now, this one, please do double strain. Use your fine mesh strainer as well as your julep strainer or hawthorn strainer, whatever else you're using, because you want to keep all those chunks of jalapeno out of there, because that would probably be kind of gross if you get a slimy chunk of jalapeno in your cocktail. All right. So there is a little bit of a color difference. Obviously, there's an extra ingredient in here that we didn't have before, which is that jalapeno. Again, we'll garnish this with a lime wheel. And there you have it. Let's give this one a shot and see how it is. Oh, so the heat lingers, okay? That's the thing. You could use Serranos for this. You could use, if you wanted to kind of cut back on the heat a little bit, which I don't see why you would want to, you could use a more mild pepper. You know, you could use a chunk of poblano, or, you know, something, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I mean, don't use a bell pepper. That would be ridiculous, but the heat that you get lingers kind of in the back of your throat, on your tongue. It gives you this like warmth as you drink it. This with a mezcal is delicious, but I really like how smooth and sultry that Reposado is, because it's not quite so aggressive. So it lets the heat linger, okay? Again, your lime is up front. Your heat is up front. Your lime is up front. Your orange kind of slips into the background a little bit, and there's just enough sweetness in there that it's not overbearing. If you wanted this to be like blazing hot, leave that agave syrup out. That's on you. But between these two, the classic, I mean, it's a classic. That's like sit, you know, with a table of friends and a bunch of tacos on a Tuesday night and drink about 3 of those and have a rough Wednesday. And you're spicy. This is, you want to sip on that. You want to enjoy it. You want that heat to kind of like baste and marinate in your mouth, and it's just amazing. That's how I prefer mine. Maybe it's a little too hot for you. Maybe it's not hot enough. Maybe you're one of those psychopaths that likes, you know, things to be absolutely on fire and you want to be sweating. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the margarita and the spicy margarita. Please stop using this and saying this is that much easier and better. It may be easier, it's not better, okay? It takes 3 ingredients, maybe 4, to make a margarita. It really takes no extra effort at all. If you work behind a bar and you're doing this, just knock it off. Just knock it off. This is fine if you're sitting outside and there's, you know, 100 people at your house and you're having a pool party. This is great. But this is just elevated. This is so much better, so much easier to drink, and so much more delicious. Oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much. That's all I've got for today. I know I kind of drug this on a little bit, but these are 2 cocktails that not only do I love them, and they're classics and everybody knows about a margarita, but I think that they're 2 that don't get enough justice in this world, because so often we find ourselves going for the easy route instead of the good route, okay? Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna stop hating on my jug of rather my wife's jug of tequila or wine cooler margarita mix, whatever it is. It says it's made with tequila. I will refute that. But anyway, thank you all so much. I appreciate every single one of you. Please give this a try. Try out making your own margarita. It takes almost nothing. These can be dirt cheap or wicked expensive. It's completely up to you. Please give it a try. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Please do like, share, subscribe. Leave comments on what you want to see. I've got a couple requests that I will be getting to throughout the next couple of weeks, okay? I've got them. They're there. They're coming. I promise I will get to them. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Remember, most importantly, don't drink and drive. Drink responsibly. Tip your bartenders. Thank you guys so much. I will see you on the next one. Cheers. There's no reason for a big jug ever.